Grandmother Grove, Cortes Island, traditional land of the Klahus, the Tla'amin and Homalco people. Without a thought, I remove my shoes as if entering a stranger's home and disappear beneath the bell-sleeved shadows of fir and spruce. Spun by the trees for hundreds of years, this trampolined floor of moss and needle sinks beneath each footstep, springs back as I walk. When time winds down and vanishes, doorways hang in the heat haze at the edge of visibility, catch the flame of a non-human eye, then gone again. And for a moment, I'm visiting the forests of Sheffield with my grandmother. Eons of ash and oak, mushrooms laddering trunks, ostrich ferns and tiny lichen goblets for fairy wine, the shade of her voice. I step through a veil of sunlight between two bowed hawthorns back onto the island. A moss-lined knoll shadows the bay. Starfish jewel the shore. The knees of huge cedars carve nooks in the hummock, and although I feel welcome, could curl among root and web and sleep with ease. This is not home, and I will never be home.
Welcome to Storyhive On-Location Victoria. We're coming to you live from House of Owl, Victoria's co-working club for creators, located on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples. Deep bow, deep respect, and deep love to the original caretakers of these lands. I'm sitting here today. Well, I'm so blown away by the poem that we just heard, I skipped introducing myself. So, Jordan Dack, I'm your host. I do lots of creative things, including host this deep dive into the creative process, and I'm sitting here with the absolutely phenomenal, deeply rooted, cutting through, and also nourishing poet Kyeren Regher, and who is the Victoria's 7th Poet Laureate. Is that right? 7th. And I am honored to be sitting here. There are a few people that I know and that I can call friend who ooze creativity as much as Kyeren does. So I am absolutely honored to be sitting here with you.
Oh, thank you,
Thanks for
Jordan.
hanging out. Yeah, no problem.
You ooze creativity.
Oh, well, because I'm around you. So Kyeren, I've got 101 questions for you. But I'd love to kick things off just with a fun little true or false statement. I'm just going to say a few statements. There are probably 5 of them, and 2 of them are false. Your job is just to say which ones are true, which ones are false, and also provide any context that you feel.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And some of them might be sort of true and sort of false. Okay. You don't need to let me get away with anything here. Okay, Kyeren. True or false? Kyeren is, I just gave this away, Victoria's 7th Poet Laureate, serving a two-year term.
Yeah.
2-year term beginning April 2025. Does that seem almost right?
Yes. Officially, it was supposed to be January 25, but it started in April.
Right. That was a unique start.
A unique start, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, but I don't end in April 2027. I end in December 2026.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Unique. And what's that? Why was that?
They decided to correct something that got off during the pandemic.
Oh,
I think
okay.
some timing that got off.
I think
and
we're
so they
all...
overlapped 2 of us, and yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I feel like years later, we're all still sort of correcting from things that happened during the pandemic.
Yes, we're course correcting.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, true or false, Kyeren? Kyeren was born in Australia and has lived in Victoria since 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Longest I've lived anywhere.
Is that right?
Yeah, I moved around a lot as a kid and as an adult. I've lived in 3 different countries, so many different cities.
Which countries have you lived in?
US, Canada, Australia. But I've lived in other places too, other cities. And then Yeah, this is the longest I've lived in any city, 22 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you want to move on? Or?
Strangely, no, I love this
very
city.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay.
It grew on me.
Okay, Kyeren, true or false? Your book, Cult Life, is a memoir in poems about 3 years inside a new religious movement written from the perspective of a single mother seeking spiritual devotion alongside worldly love.
Yeah.
I mean, that description, it's very subjective, but yeah.
Yeah. It's
something like that?
It was, I called it Cult Life because I wanted to sell books, right?
Yeah, it is a great title.
But it's no more cultish than the Catholic Church.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
Or any other kind of religious gathering place. We tend to always move towards cultish behaviour when we get a little bit insular, even a little bit insular.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, well, I've got lots of questions about cult life.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Kyeren has always been a writer and came to poetry before any other art form.
Well, if I think back to when I was really little, I would actually follow my dad around the garden with these poems I'd written on scraps of paper about magical fairylands, and I would sometimes stop and tear little pieces of paper and rearrange them and cross out words and put different words. Oh, wow. I swear to you that's true.
That's incredible.
That might be a true statement.
Yeah. This was supposed to be one of the false statements, but we are learning. We've learned something already. Okay, very cool. All right, how about Kyeren is the artistic director of Planet Earth Poetry, one of Canada's longest running weekly poetry reading series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's an amazing reading series.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And when did you step into artistic director?
About 3 years ago. So I didn't create it, I'm just steering the ship.
Yeah.
I'm the 6th artistic director, I think.
Okay. And were you part of Planet Earth Poetry as a participant or otherwise before
Absolutely, yeah. It was like my incubator, my weekly incubator when I was in the writing program at UVic.
Okay.
I was there every week, just soaking up the poetry from people across the country. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Okay. True or false? Cult Life, which we just referenced, was inspired by a reality TV show about cults.
That's great. Funny thing, when I first started thinking about writing something about that experience, my husband thought that I should name it Cult Life and then make it into a TV show.
No kidding.
No kidding.
I love how all my false statements are becoming true in a way. I would watch that show. So
yeah, I think a lot of people probably would.
Absolutely.
And you know is it Sullivan Entertainment who did Anna Green Gables, the really fabulous Canadian version? Yeah. They contacted me and asked if I had the rights to Cult Life, and they were considering making it into a TV show.
No way.
Yes way, and then they just didn't follow up. I said, yes, I've got it. You can have it. You can do whatever you want with it.
Totally.
But no, alas.
That is so cool.
Almost.
Yeah, but they saw something in it.
They saw something in it. Yeah.
Super cool. Okay, last statement. True or false, Kyeren's poetry has been longlisted 3 times for the CBC Poetry Awards and has appeared in publications in Canada, Australia, and the United States.
Yes. And just recently translated it into Chinese.
Really?
Yes.
How did that happen?
Anna Yin, who I interviewed on my podcast, she then translated one of my poems into Chinese, which is so cool.
Wow, that's incredible.
I know.
And I was in the room for that interview.
Yes.
And I remember her speaking about the art of translation. And
which is incredible, right?
Which is totally incredible.
Yeah. And something that AI can't do.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank
it
you,
can
humans.
translate, but she was talking about the relationship between, the one consciousness and another consciousness, and the meanings that are derived from somebody's, inner workings, and that AI can't do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is so. It makes me want to learn Chinese.
Yes.
Read your poem in Chinese. Okay. First question, and this one's a surprise question, just to kick things off.
Okay.
For you, is poetry similar to, or more similar to skydiving, daydreaming, calculus, or an afternoon walk through the forest, or something entirely different?
Wow. Well, I've never skydived. I couldn't do calculus to save my life. I failed math in grade 10. So,
So maybe not calculus.
walking through the forest, yeah, maybe. Daydreaming. You know, I've always said that writing is like 95% staring at the window and checking your email.
That's so true.
Because you're trying to figure out what comes next and get distracted, or you get stuck in a thesaurus search or something. Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, I think of some other poets, and some of them it feels like the poem came in a flash of passion and it just spilled out onto the page. Some other poets, it feels like almost a violent act, or lots of drama and edge. And for others, it does feel like watching a flower slowly bloom. What can you describe to us your approach to poetry, or how it comes through?
I think for me it's bodily, like it comes as rhythm.
Yeah.
Almost always it comes as rhythm first.
Oh, that's so
and I mean, that ties into having spent so much time dancing. I think rhythm is just infused in my cells. There was a poem I was going to read today, but I decided not to. But it came after I was watching the film Hamnet. And I mean, what a film, right? Just.
Yes.
And all of the I ams, all of that pentameter, it just got into me, and just the story of the movie too, and it stirred up all of this stuff I have, all this grief actually with my son. And by the time the film was finished, I had the first two lines of the poem pushing at me. Like I could feel the pentameter, I could feel I could feel it in my body, and could almost hear the lines. It was like they were just below consciousness, like just below sound. I could almost hear what the words might be or the sounds were. And before the credits were finished, I shot out of the room. So maybe it's like skydiving.
Well, yeah.
And I started writing it, and I got the first two lines, and then the poem sort of flowed over the next hour-ish, like the first draft.
Yeah.
And it ended up being all in iambic pentameter, which I had never, I have written sonnets before, but and in rhyming quatrains, which is something I don't work in. And so like the film and the rhythms got into me, and that's how it, so yeah.
Yes.
Something like that. Maybe not as dramatic as that usually.
Yeah.
It's like a little, you grab it, and then, or it arises from inside here. It's like one or the other. Like I'm hearing it out here, I'm pulling it into my body, or it's arising in here and it's coming out. Yeah.
And is that how writing poetry has always been for you? Like not the iambic pentameter, but has it always been a somatic experience first before it was a written?
I don't know. I mean, I'm remembering back to those fairy poems now, and I had to write them. I had these ideas, or I had something come to me and I had to write, and maybe I was reading a story and then I was inspired or something. I read a lot as a kid. When I first started writing at UVic, they were assignments.
Right.
Which is different. You've got to find where it is that the poem is existing and kind of write to the task at hand, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's occasional poetry, which is kind of just reminds me of assignments, like writing now as a Poet Laureate, writing certain poems for the city. It's like writing backwards. It's like doing the opposite of what I would normally do. It's like I'm trying to get an idea that I've been told I have to write about,
brief of sorts,
and squeeze it and tame it into something, like tell it what it should be, rather than like letting it unfold and show me what it actually wants to be. It's kind of like, I think breaking a wild horse, you know, rather than the poem being allowed to be its own wild horse and take me on a journey. I'm trying to pull it in and smack it down into this occasional poem.
That is so interesting. And do you find, when given a brief, when the city or someone else say, here, this is what the poem needs to be related to, do you find, can you write about it before you feel something about it? Or do you need to search to feel a certain way before you can write?
Yeah, I have to get into the feeling. I mean, I will make lots of notes.
Yeah.
And somewhere in there, there'll be like something that I can feel here. And that's when I will try and figure out how the poem is going to come out of me and also fit the parameters. And I think a lot of the time I'm taking all the sharp edges off that I would normally leave on. Okay. And kind of making it more, because I'm thinking about audience. Yeah. And normally I'm not thinking about audience. Oh, that's so I would take things out that may not sit well sometimes. Yeah. I
mean, even outside of the Poet Laureateship, you have been sharing your poetry and performing your poetry for years. Do you find that it's difficult to keep the audience separate from the writing process?
No. No, I don't really think about the audience at all unless I'm writing a public-facing poem. Wow. Yeah,
How did you do that? How do you manage? Is it like, did you have to practice that, or is that just how it's always been?
No, because I get pulled into the world of the poem. Yeah. And I'm trying to find what's true. I read aloud a lot. Because when you read aloud, when you put voice to it, you know, something I can think sounds good on the page, when I say it aloud, I can feel that I haven't gone deep enough, or that it's not true enough, or that it's too dramatic, or there's something wrong with it, and then I return to the page. And so I want to hear it here in the world, because, you know, it's so musical. It has to be heard, but I want it to work on the page too. And so so I'm caught in that dance, and I'm not really thinking about who might listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember a poetry workshop that you led at House of Owl that I was a participant in, and you led an exercise where we closed our eyes and you handed us an object that we hadn't seen before, and we got to get to know it with our hands and then hide it from ourselves and then write about it, or write what came up. And I am typically fairly in my head and thinking about my audience when I write poetry, and it's an ongoing struggle. I'd like for them to leave the room, but when holding the hilt of a sword that you had handed the audience was not even in the same country. Like, it was gone. There was a transportive element. It was, and I'm not sure if it was part of the exercise that allowed for that, or just that my hands were touching something that I probably have never felt that shape of before. But anyways, for me, it was a unique experience to not have the audience around. Right. That was very, very cool.
I had no idea that, I really had no idea that poets were thinking about the audience all of the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, don't let them in.
I'm wondering, is that a spoken word poet thing? You know, somebody who is, because you've done so much performing in the spoken word sphere, and, you know, being in slam events and such, and so, you know, you're writing for an audience. And I actually found myself once accidentally in the slam finals in Victoria.
That's right.
Yeah, I was teaching a class at UVic. I'm going to circle back to that. I was teaching a class at UVic, and it was on writing in 4 genres: storytelling, the dramatic monologue, the spoken word poem, and the rant, like Rick Meyer, you know. And when we got to the stage of performing, I asked them all to come to Tongues of Fire and to perform, and told them they'd get 5% extra in their grade if they got to perform. So I took 2 lots of classes, or 2 lots of groups, and so I had to perform with them. Right. And then I got into the slam finals by accident. But, you know, sort of being in that world for a little while like that, I was just like looking at, and I listened to and read and was teaching from Sherry D. Wilson's spoken word book, and but being in that world firsthand, I was hearing the rhythms that the poets were falling into. There were a lot of the same rhythms.
Yes.
And it's interesting because when different cities of literary poets have a different lilt, and there's like a city lilt, like the Victoria lilt, you can hear it.
Absolutely.
And so anyway, I was listening to that, and I was, wondering whether people were trying to write a certain poem that the city was used to, or that the audience was used to, in order to get the points, and thinking about how the point sort of driven system might be something the poets are thinking about when they're writing.
Yeah, likely.
Yeah.
I mean, it also reminds me of almost the art or formula of stand-up comedy as well, you know?
Right.
You know, there's a certain way you might write a joke on a piece of paper that might, land in a certain way, but when you're in front of an audience, you have to put the lines in a certain order so that that one mega point that you want everyone to feel in their body gets driven home,
Yes. Yes.
And when you read it out loud, I mean, it's the same for any poet, but especially with slam poetry. You want the judges and the audience to get those goosebumps and give you those points.
So yes, was it always like that for you, or did you find that the more that you did, audience-driven poetry, that
Honestly,
they traveled home in your pocket with you?
So, I mean, I wasn't going to share this because this isn't the Jordan Dacker interview, but I do appreciate the questions. But I was never really a slam poet. I also won the Calgary Slam Poetry Contest by accident, in a way. So
I didn't win it.
Right. Okay. Well, I accidentally won
Spouse.
it. I was a rapper. I was an MC, and I mean, I wrote poetry before I wrote a rap, but my raps were so poetic and political and conscious that I was there, and I just got basically dared to go up, and then I won that, and then went back and won that, and so that's how it went for me. But definitely my writing was for the stage, just maybe not always slam poetry. But
that's so cool to know that.
Yeah.
And of course, it came from music first as well.
Well, it came from Leonard Cohen first.
The man.
As it does sometimes.
Yeah.
So talk to me about disassembling a dancer.
Disassembling.
Thank you. Disassembling
a dancer. Yes. That was my third chapbook. And it started as a single poem in a class with Tim Lilburn, who, if you know of his work, is astonishing. And I think it was something I had to write out of myself.
Yeah.
Because, leaving the dance world was really hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, I left it in increments. I taught as much as I danced, and it just became really clear that, I was never going to be a ballerina with the hips that I had. And I taught ballet. I moved into ballroom. I did musical theatre. I did Shakespeare. Taught movement for actors. So I jumped all over the place. But that world was just such a huge part of my life. And when you do show after show, it's like you have life after life after life within this. And it feels like many other lifetimes ago that I was in that world. It was hard to leave. It was sad, and yet there's this incredible discipline that comes with learning to dance. So much discipline and drive and stamina, and of course, this the embodied art form, And I think it had to come out of me into the writing, and it started coming out. And I think it was maybe a couple of years after that I finished the book, and I didn't really know what it was about until it was done. And I think that it was about me processing what it's like to not be able to express yourself in the art form that you want to be able to express yourself in anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did poetry take its place, or are those two art forms so distinct that that one can't take the other's place?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think poetry gave it a voice. I mean, dance is, unless you're working with Crystal Pite, you know, it's Crystal Pite. She's an amazing BC choreographer.
Oh, cool.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And I always say her name wrong, and I've said it wrong so many times that I just continually say it wrong. She has the voices of the dancers with rhythm and doing all sorts of things. It's very interesting, with lots of repetition and breath. But apart from her, I've not seen any dancers speak, unless you're doing musical theatre. So poetry gave me a voice that was able to sort of, reassemble the dancer. And I think also, you know, with dance, you've got rhythm, timing, momentum, speed, pause, leap. All of that is in poetry. And I think a lot of art forms are transferable, right? The elements of them. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was speaking with another artist last week, Kemi Craig, and Kemi is an amazing dancer and also filmmaker, projection artist. And, but I haven't put my finger exactly on what the common thread is, but there's something about artists who spent a lot of time in dance that is different. It's something about the embodiment of your art. Whichever art that you're in, once you're a dancer, you feel all the other arts in your body. You have access to being present to your body, it seems, more than the average person.
Really interesting.
And for me, I just, even before I hear someone's a dancer or has experienced, you know, been part of dance their whole life, I can feel it. You know, you can feel there's a depth to it that I find. And so when you're writing poetry, do you think I mean, maybe it's an obvious statement, your poetry wouldn't be what it is now without your history of dance. Would you agree?
Yeah. I've never really thought of it that way. It's an interesting way to look at it, an interesting angle. And yeah, it's true what you say about the body, the embodiment. I mean, all artists, I think I can make the sweeping statement that we're all so passionate. You know, like we're taking all of the stuff inside us that human beings bottle up, and we're risking exposing it and making it into something. It's a huge risk. And so, you know, taking your body and like getting your body to the point where it can express somebody else's choreography, somebody else's art form, and then finding the place inside where it exists and letting that loose in front of an audience. It takes a lot of courage.
Yes.
And I think I'm just trying to find the words. There's like this, not just courage, there's like just it's a crazy amount of work. I don't want to say crazy. I try not to use that word, but there is like something a little bit wrong with dancers. You know, just the incredible discipline, and you know, I don't know any dancers that haven't danced with bleeding feet. Yeah. You know, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I think if you transition into a different art form, you go at it with the same sort of figure.
Yeah, it's almost one of those things where you're watching it and the amount of sacrifice that goes into dance, people that are doing it at a professional, like deeply disciplined level, but they may not even know exactly why they're doing it.
Oh, they can't not, you know?
Yeah, they can't not, exactly. Yeah, even through the bleeding feet.
Yes. There's a really great line in The Red Shoes, which every ballet dancer and most other dancers have watched. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't, no.
someone says, well, why dance? And the answer is, why live?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And I've spoken with a few creators in these conversations, but in the same way, it sometimes feels that the creativity is the greatest blessing. It's one of the greatest blessings, and yet it also can occur as a curse sometimes, because you can't quit it. Like, you can't, once you have tasted the creative nectar, you can't come away from it. And if you do, there is hell to pay,
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I was thinking about the amount of work that I have to write that I haven't written yet, that's existing within me.
Wow.
And I'm sure you
just
can
saying
feel
that sentence
too.
that was very daunting.
I know that you feel that too.
Yes, I do.
There's like a dam, and we have so much work we want to do, and yet we have to also make money. And I was just thinking about existing in this city.
Yeah.
And there's this dream of an island pace, that for many of us just doesn't exist. Like, what's the island pace you're talking about? I have to work so hard to pay my rent, which is over half of what I make.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the amount of time that's left over to do creative work when you've got family and, you have to exercise, all the rest of it. And so you build these bricks above, or like to keep the things, the projects, the ideas, and you've got them there. I kind of feel like it's like that, and there's just this deluge waiting to come out. And if I just pull a brick out every now and then, and I let some poems come out, because I have to, because I'm going crazy, because I've got too much pressing against me.
Yeah.
And it feels like a real thing. Like, it feels like my mind is not at ease.
Right.
And I'm feeling like I'm a little bit off kilter, or I'm really like feeling something's wrong, and then like, I need to write. Yeah. That's what it is. I've just got that project that I'm thinking of, or that poem that I've got notes for. I've got to get it out now, and I can't not do it. And so I might stay up till 4 a.m. finishing something.
Right. And
because
do you feel like
you have to.
Yeah, you have to. And do you feel like you are making progress on this brick wall? Is it, or does one brick go away and another one arrives?
It feels like it's filling up as I'm emptying it in trickles.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a different speed of build than
there is, and there is.
So interesting.
I think a lot of it is, that I'm doing so much curation, and lifting and supporting so many other voices, which is also incredible. And when you read a really good poem, it makes you want to write poetry. Yeah. So when you're curating a reading series and you have 85 great poets come through and they all read a poem that touches you or more, it's like all of a sudden, all these, which don't always come out, and thus the brick wall.
Yeah, when you spend all this time supporting and uplifting not just poets, but the idea of poetry in general, in our city, how do you, at the same time, protect your creative space and your creative time?
Imperfectly.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah, poorly, and by staying up too late, and or pushing my family aside,
right,
and maybe yelling at them because they've opened the door.
Yeah, for sure.
So sorry.
Yeah.
It's a really freaking hard balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a dance.
It's a dance. Absolutely. I was reading a book recently, and the front cover made it seem like it was just another one of these books that talk about how to schedule better so you can pack everything in. And it ended up being a book that was not like that at all. It wasn't a way to manage your inbox. It was about, hey, don't forget that you're immortal. You are immortal, and that you only have between this number of days, 1 and this number of days remaining on this planet. And if you took a piece of paper and a pen out and you wrote down the 10 most important things that you want to accomplish in your life on a piece of paper, you're going to have to cross off 8 of them.
Yeah.
You know? And what are those final 2? And stop worrying about the other 8, because we have been led to believe that everything is possible. Or that, you know, there's this saying, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. You know? And to choose those things, would writing poetry be?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, without question.
Yeah. I could not dance though. I mean, I dance all the time.
Right.
That's my primary exercise.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't do enough of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, just like one song in the morning just to shake it out.
Changes
and
everything, yeah.
it changes everything. And I think that I wonder whether dance made me feel like I could do more than I'm actually capable of. You know, because when I was back in those days, I could do so much, and I had the energy for everything.
Right.
And because when you're very fit,
Right.
you don't get tired as much. I mean, you get really tired after a show, or when you're in rehearsals. I mean, you're dead by the end of the day. But it doesn't take much for recovery.
Yeah.
And then, you know, off you go again, and you have all these side projects, all these things you want to do. And I rode that for a really long time. It wasn't really until I hit my 50s that I realized that I couldn't do everything anymore. And it's been a real awakening experience, because the last couple of years I've tried to do the reading series, have editing clients, homeschool my daughter in grade 11 and 12, and run the podcast, and then I took on the laureateship, and there are lots and lots of other little bits and pieces, and that didn't feel like too much for me, but suddenly my body was saying, actually, you're at the stage where you need more rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually the body just speaks up.
It does. It does. It speaks up and it says stop.
Yeah, and having experienced that myself, I know that when that does happen, just noticing that you're in that state and you're in that place of burnout, doesn't mean that you're going to be able to bounce back the next day or even the next week.
Yeah.
You know, noticing it is the first step, but it's to recovery, but it's not the only thing. You know, you really do need to take time.
Yeah, like real time.
Real time.
Yeah, because the nervous system heals slowly, and I think those of us who, you know, are multitasking overachievers tend to burn the nervous system out.
Yeah. You know, it was just the other day that I got the most obvious thing, which was burnout. Like, to be burnt out, something has to burn, you know, and it's ourselves that we throw on the pyre, you know. That's what's smoking, you know, that's what's burning. And it's like, and I have this picture in my head where it's like we see this fire going out and we don't want it to go out, and we're out of fuel, so we just throw ourselves on it. You know, we'd rather burn ourselves out than let the fire die. And
that's quite the metaphor.
Yeah. That was part of my healing. It was like just visualizing myself on fire, you know. But yeah, did it take courage for you to write Cult Life? No.
It took courage to publish Cult Life.
Right.
But not to write it. I wasn't thinking about my audience.
Thinking about your audience.
No, I just, in fact, the very first poem came to me in the Mocha House in Cook Street Village. It came like a force in my head as the first line with an image, and I had to write it down, and all I had was the back of a grocery list. And so I wrote the first poem of Cult Life on the back of the grocery list, and my family was standing waiting they were like, come on, Kyeren, putting their coffee cups in the buzzing trays, and I'm writing Cult Life out. And I typed it up and I took it to Lorna Crozier, who was my thesis advisor. This was through my master's degree, and she said, oh, this is a book. Have you got more of this? And I said, yeah, I got tons. How much more? Oh, probably hundreds of poems. There's your thesis.
Wow.
And that was it.
No kidding.
And so then I just wrote it. I just didn't stop writing it for the next sort of 18 months.
And it is, can you share a little bit more about what this whole cult life is about?
Well, it's about living in an ashram for 3 years. And it's, I guess it's a quasi-narrative. It has the voices of dramatic monologues that encase the voices of the very colourful characters. There's like a quasi-me. I mean, she's not really me anymore, because as you write it all into what it wants to become, it changes. And so there's the arc of her story. But yeah, it's like removed from myself, because I'm going for like a feeling of truth rather than literal truth. Like maybe there wasn't an oak tree, maybe it was just a little bush.
That's right.
But I want a tree there, because that gives the feeling that that the piece needs in order to feel true.
Totally. I forget who said it, but they said, "Don't let the facts get in the way of the truth." You know?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
I wish I knew who that was, but yeah.
I wish I did too.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. And did you find it more freeing too, to be able to take that a little bit of distance from the perspective?
Yeah. And I mean, some of the stories that I gave to myself were other people's stories. Some of the stories that were mine I gave to other people. Some characters became composite characters.
Yeah.
I changed everybody's name, of course. I think that, publishing it was really hard. When I realised that my family was going to read it, that was really hard. And there's been some weird, there are always weird reactions. I don't really think of myself having been in a cult.
Okay.
I was in like this crazy ashram.
Yeah.
And
as many were.
Many were.
Yeah.
And it's it's a phase. It was wonderful in lots of ways. But yeah, like we went to rent a house. Somebody had Googled me and said, "Is your book true? Because we don't want any crazy religious types around here."
Oh, wow.
Weird religious types.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. So there's stuff like that which has sort of arisen.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about the fact that this is being recorded, but I'll say it anyway. Yeah, there are family members who see me differently now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame, the experience of writing poetry is such a free-flowing experience, especially when you aren't considering the audience. And in some ways, it's only pure when you aren't considering the audience. But then all of a sudden, you need to hand it over to the world, and that's.
It's something that I come up against all the time when I have a new chunk of work. I actually have 2 other full-length collections which are at the point where I need to be on a retreat so that I can really understand what it is that they're doing. With Cult Life, I had this miraculous whole summer when I finally got it ready. And I was able to get it to the point where it could constellate in my mind. I could see it from all different angles. I understood what it was doing. I understood the narrative arc. It didn't want a different body. It was ready. And I've got these 2 other books, both of which are very different, and they're at the stage where I need that to happen, but I haven't had the space. And then I have another 3 chapbooks that are also in that stage. So I've been writing, but I've not released anything because I don't know it well enough to send it into the world. I sent individual poems out, and people say, "Just send it out." I'm like, well, what are you scared of? And it's like, I'm not actually scared of anything. It's just not ready. It's not at the stage where I got Cult Life.
Right.
Or where I got Disassembling a Dancer. It's not at that stage yet.
And you will know when you've arrived there?
Yeah, because I'll understand it. And I don't understand them yet.
Interesting.
Not fully. But also, when I get to the point, or because I'm at the point where I need to really take a deep dive with them, I also know that a couple of them, I don't know if I can send them into the world. There's one in particular about my son. I don't know if I can publish it.
Yeah. And do you find...
But I've written all this work, Jordan.
Oh, Kyeren, and I have bumped up against the same thing.
You have?
In writing songs, and there are songs, and now my son's 12, and I made a lot of music before he was born, and I would write songs that were not even about me, but they came through me, and I saw no reason not to let it come through and out into the world. But I've had some of the same responses, and it's a different experience to try to create art while you're trying to, with hesitation. It's creating hesitant art. That's a completely different thing, and I'm not a fan of it, I'm not a fan of it at all. So,
but those songs that you wrote, you did without hesitation because you weren't thinking about the future audience.
No, and I am an art Puritan. Especially back then, it was just, hey, zero compromise. We cannot compromise this. We must let it through. And I've spoken to people who have great arguments, counter arguments to that, and so I'm constantly in the process of deciding where I stand. But do you agree that because one could say, hey, just write it and don't release it, but there does seem to be some truth to the fact that releasing it is part of the art, even if you write without the audience in your head, there's it almost completes the circle to let it out into the world.
What is art for? Then we get to what is art for? I mean, what is it for?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's for lots of different things, but I kind of feel it that it's there as, a record of the times of that we existed, that we thought this, that we did this, and the small record is important. It's vital, and also when somebody else experiences it, it affects them, and maybe it heals something inside them, or it changes the way they think, and
that's right.
Yeah. So it feels like if we're just making art and it's just sort of going there, why are we making it?
Which makes me think about your other role, or one of your other roles, which is editor, and in the role of editor and the role of, the initial writing process, do you have a way to compartmentalize and keep the editor out of the room while you're writing initially?
Yeah. I mean, there's always an editor there because you're making choices. I don't know if it's an editor. There's always something that's making choices. But I think that's more like sort of moving out of the way and trying to let what it is that's coming out come out without without the mind interfering. No, that's not what I want to say. I think that when we're, in the flow of letting the art come out, we're still making choices, but it's our skill level and what we've learned and what we've accumulated and what we're carrying from all of our experiences that allows those choices to come out. And we can have an editor there that is criticizing. That tends not to happen to me until I'm in the later stages. I think part of it is that when I first really started to write, I was a new mother and I was incredibly tired, and I was having 3 to 4 hours sleep a night. I was doing my undergraduate degree and breastfeeding my baby.
Wow.
And I had her at the end of first year. Wow. And so I was so tired that it's like I was half asleep when I was writing.
Right.
So the editor wasn't there. So I think I kind of trained myself to be in that kind of subconscious, half asleep flow, and I sort of get into a state with my writing and I let it come out. Okay. And then when it's finished, I let myself make those hard choices and slice it apart and shape it.
That is very, very cool. It sounds almost like a trance state or a...
I wish it was much.
Yeah,
wish
maybe not quite there.
But maybe edging towards that. Like it's definitely a more of a flow state.
Yeah. And you do, because you also hold the capacity to edit, do you know when a work is ready for the world? Is that... I mean, it speaks to what we were just sort of talking about, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's harder to see your own work, and as the years pass, I see my work more clearly, and I see myself see my work more clearly. Mm-hmm. And the more that I read, the more that I'm able to see my work more clearly. Mm-hmm. Like if I just finished reading all of Diane Seuss, who just blows my mind. And as I said, went on a big Diane Seuss binge, and then when I came back to my own work, I was like, oh, yeah, she would do that differently,
Right.
And so it sort of teaches you, other people's work teaches you new skills, new ways of looking at things, new techniques, new scaffolding, new structures. It's interesting like that. I think that sitting down to edit, though, I mean, for me personally, I need to get back into the poem physically. I need to figure out how to get back into that tone or mood or emotion of the poem, and then I can edit it more cleanly rather than just chopping away at it.
Have you ever had the experience when, looking back, you realize, oh, I may have edited some life out of a poem?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, definitely. And then you scrap those drafts and you go to an earlier draft.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that every good poem kind of tears something from us. And sometimes we edit that out and then we've got to find it again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And you've mentored and supported so many poets, young poets coming up too, people who are just discovering their voice. And could you point at anything consistent that you see poets struggle with?
Trusting their own voice, I think. Not trying to sound like poetry.
Right. Oh, I love that one.
Yeah. That's something that I'm always listening for in my own work, is that, do I make this poetic choice or do I make a choice that feels true?
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that an editor can help you with, or help you find, this part of your poem is really, like, it's so different to anybody else's poem.
Right.
This is your voice.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That speaks a lot to, sometimes you'll find that a person's earlier work just feels truer than their later works. And that's got to have something to do with that, hey? Like something about not being technically as good, they had to lean on the truth more than they leaned on their experience,
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, they hadn't been told that what they're doing wasn't accurate.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But that that you can see people go through those stages, like really brand new poets. One of the biggest things which changes their writing is learning how to break a line.
Yeah, talk to me about that. Yeah.
I mean, because line break is where poetry refuses to be prose.
Right.
And it's where this magic happens, because you can say something and then in the next line completely undermine what you just said, because you've broken the sentence just so. And you can double a meaning, fracture a meaning, bring out the truth of it without saying exactly what the truth is, just by the way the line is broken or the way the line is sitting. You know, when you break a line and then you break a line again, you've got these individual units of meaning within the poem, and that creates a unity of effect. And there's so much happening within a poem, right? But the line break, when you show someone how to break a line and they get it, it's like a bell goes off in their head and they can see it, and everything, then all their lines are ringing, ding, ding, they've got it. I can do this. Like, yes, you can do that.
Cool. It seems like a line break is something that you could learn to use, very expertly, but also it's something you could easily play with in a poem too.
Definitely. And then there are all these rules of, how you should break a line.
Right. And
then there's the discovery of when can you break those rules.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you damn well please, actually.
Absolutely.
But if you're breaking it with control, if you're breaking it for a reason,
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so that's an exciting thing to teach.
Yeah. So what has it been like being the Poet Laureate Victoria?
I've kind of learnt that it's not so much a crown as a doorstop, because you're letting sort of the door stand open long enough for poetry to get into public space. And it's not about my voice, it's about figuring out how to get as many voices through that door and into public space, and sort of have finding ways for people who don't have poetry in their lives to discover poetry.
Right.
And that's kind of exciting.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the project? Fill in the details for me, but almost a gumball machine of poetry.
That wasn't my idea.
Sure.
I when I stepped into the role, I felt very like, oh my goodness, this is huge. I want to do all these things. I need help. And the Vancouver Poet Laureate, Ellie Gardner, suggested I find poetry ambassadors, like 3 other poets. And so I did. And they all said yes. And so Tracy Wadabor, Nina Massal, and Zoe Dickinson all said yes to supporting this role. And Nina Massal, who's one of the city librarians, came up with this gumball machine idea. She'd seen it somewhere else. I think they have it in Portugal, and she'd seen it in other places. And then I came across one on Marketplace when I was looking for a bed for my daughter. There's a gumball machine for $60. Like, okay, I'll buy it. And I sent a text of it to Nina and said, would you put this in the library if you filled it with poetry? She's like, yes, let's do it.
Amazing.
So then we just got all the poets in Victoria to send in poetry and printed it out. And then we had folding parties where we rolled up all the poems into a particular size so that would fit through the whole of the gumball machine. But what was really amazing was that all of these poets came together in 3 different groups for rolling up poetry. And a lot of them had never met. A lot of them hadn't been in community with other poets. And then we had this massive reading. And some of them had never read before. They'd been writing their poetry and sending it out, but they hadn't actually had an opportunity to read their poems in public. So it became this beautiful community sort of nourishment, all through Nina's idea. And we're doing a second one, which will live at Russell Books in the fall.
Another gumball machine.
Yes.
And
so send me some poems.
Okay, I will. Absolutely.
This is a chance for all the people who didn't send poems to send them.
Yes, I remember that email, and I was like, I really want to send something in.
It just has to be small enough to fit on like a piece of paper that size.
I write small poems.
That's fantastic.
That's good. Let's talk about the Poet Laureate podcast for a minute, because that is one of the elements of your own Poet Laureateship that has brought you in contact with so many other poets.
It's my love. I love this podcast. Oops, I'm touching the mic so much. When I was thinking about what project I really wanted to do, and having been the artistic director of the reading series and knowing all of the challenges that we have faced as a reading series and other ADs have faced too, location and equity and funding and accessibility and like just all the various, cultural. I wanted to make something that anyone could step into.
Yes.
You know, so a phone, laptop, library, it's accessible on any major platform, and it's free. And also just sort of thinking about what we need. You know, since the pandemic, we've had just wave after wave of tragedy, outrage, just unspeakable things. And we can't be helpful or kind or good or offer ourselves in service if we're burnt out by the world. And so I was sort of thinking about poetry as a way to restore, and you know, poetry as a restorative act, poetry as a sonic sanctuary, and just a place to rest, a place to think about art. And you know, poetry requires attention in a time when we're all losing attention to the algorithm. So this was the idea behind the podcast. And then also, you know, talking just to Poets Laureate, making that ridiculously small niche. I did two things. It stopped every single poet that I know from asking me to be on the podcast, which was, you know, kind of like,
some breathing room.
But it also, it means I'm interviewing people who have given themselves to poetry, who have served their city, who have uplifted other voices, who have done all sorts of innovative projects.
Yeah, that's right.
And really interesting, amazing people. Every time I interview someone, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do what you did.
Right.
And I think, oh, I haven't done enough. And then I think, oh, hang on a second. I've got the podcast. It's like this archive of poets. It's okay. You're doing enough, Kyeren.
You're definitely doing enough. And after interviewing all of these amazing poets, has anything surprised you?
I think that it's interesting that poetry enters cities in different ways, like what the city needs of poetry, and how the Poets Laureate find ways to allow poetry to give voice to their community or to heal their community or whatever it is they're doing with poetry. It's different, you know, it's different in every city. I think that's really interesting. I didn't know that poetry could be used to, you know, help with reconciliation. I didn't know that it could be used to teach children about equity. You know, these are some of the things that poetry has done.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now let's just talk for a minute about Victoria. So you've lived here longer than you've lived in any other one place.
Yes, I'm gonna take a sip too.
Has living here, has the geography of Victoria or the proximity to the ocean, do you find that it makes its way into your work?
I mean, the land makes its way in. I guess the water does sometimes. I have to live near water. I was raised by the ocean, the Pacific. So I feel very comfortable here with the Pacific. But you know, a lot of our water is like lake. Like, you know, it's ocean, but it looks like lake.
That's right.
It's not those crashing big waves.
Very different character.
Very different character. The land does make its way in, but you know, it's not our land. So I have to write through that lens, and so that's you know, it's an interesting thing to wrestle with, and I want to make sure I'm not gathering up stuff that belongs to other people and, you know, belongs to the stewards of this land. And I was born also in a land that's not my land, in Australia. And first generation Australia. And I don't have my ancestral land. I don't have my ancestral languages. So it sort of makes me more mindful, I think, of what's been taken away. And that's, I think, part of, you know, any land that we're living on as a writer, is thinking about those things, and they affect us, you know, and what the stories of the people here that were here for 10,000 years or more, they're so old and long and incredible, and So whatever I'm adding to that, if I'm working with the land in my work, it's not the language that belongs to this land. It's a different language that I'm working in.
That's right.
And so those things that about Victoria come into my mind as a writer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also as an arts curator, whose voices get heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on that note, not the geography, but the people of Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
I found from traveling that Victoria has a very specific energy. The people show up in a very specific Victoria way.
What do you mean by that?
No. I have no answer to that question. When I have no answer, I will use words like vibe and energy. It's a feeling. Do you agree? And do you think that your writing would be very different if you were still in Australia?
Oh, it would be so different.
Yeah.
Oh, it would be completely different. I mean, just for one thing, this city. I mean, I'm gonna come back to your question, but this city has probably the best writing program in the country. At UVic, right? Yeah, we're the only standalone. Say we. See, I still say we. Yeah. It's the only standalone writing department in fine arts. It's not attached to English. It's its own department, and the writers that are in that department, they've just been some of the most phenomenal writers. I mean, other programs do too, right? Yeah. But that
very cool.
It kind of sucked me in and gave me a lineage, like a writing family, and then all of the spaces that we have here. I mean, Tongues of Fire is 20 years now. Yeah. Planet Earth Poetry's 30. Yeah. The community is incredible, and people show up for poetry every week for decades. Yeah. There's a devotion to art in this city, which I think is quite amazing, and we are doing equity better and better all the time. So the voices are way more varied, and there's we're really hearing from everybody now. We weren't hearing from everybody for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's getting richer every year.
I think it's getting richer, but we don't have enough dedicated spaces. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, spaces and like money for the people that are actually doing the work. Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, I feel like all of us, we are constantly making the case for art, but the case that we're making is the same case that's been made for years and years and years. Everywhere. And it's being made. It's a universal case.
Humans need art.
Humans need art.
Our souls need art. Our spirits need art.
Totally.
Art is a place where we stop and we feel ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, we have poets who are expressing this sentiment. The poets, the people who know what to do with words. What hasn't been said? What hasn't been communicated? Or is it not a matter of communicate or choosing the right thing to say, but saying it consistently over a long period of time?
What do you mean? Are you saying?
Like, if we are to one day successfully communicate the value of art, what will it take? I mean,
I think the problem is that there are so many things that are louder. So, like, sports is louder. Yeah. And it gives people the feeling of unity, and they get devoted to their team, and they feel the togetherness, and they feel like there's aliveness, and there's a war happening, but it's not a war. And I think that, there are other things that do that for more people, and, people have this device as well. I don't know. Yes. It's hard to think about people's attention spans, and so many people who have ADHD now because of, scrolling and watching the TikTok. I don't have TikTok exactly for that reason. So I don't want my attention span to be gone. I could get caught in animal videos so easily.
Which is such a perfect segue into, if people want to find out more about what you're up to online,
it's not animal videos.
They go to your TikTok channel. Where should they go though? If
Poet Laureate Podcast. I would love them.
Laureate
I would
Podcast.
just love for people to listen to the poets and to hear what they have to say, and to hear about art and artistic practice, and to hear the poems.
Yeah.
Planet Earth Poetry as well, because we've got the open mic every week from September till the end of May.
Okay, so that's also an IRL, in real life invitation to come out.
It is, and it's free.
Yeah. What are the website, the URLs for these two?
The Poet Laureate Podcast.
Okay.
.com.
Yeah.
And planetearthpoetry.com.
Great.
But you just have to type the words in and it comes up.
Yeah.
And my name is too hard to spell and pronounce, but I do have a website that is just my name, and it will come up if you type my name in accurately.
Will it come up if you miss a letter or?
I don't know about that. I've never
It
really
will.
tried to Google myself.
It will. You'll be fine.
That's good to know.
All right.
I don't actually know that. But what is the vibe of Victoria? What is that energy? We have to put a word on it. Jordan, we're poets.
Some poems take a long time to write. Kyeren. I think this is one of them. I think there's such a diverse and such a fabric, a weaving of different humans, different reasons for coming to Victoria, and the disillusionment, or depending on what you found when you got here, that all mixes together to create a bit of a feeling. I think that probably anywhere in the world, well, anywhere in North America, or, the West Coast is always called artists. But what happens when the artist arrives here? Are they supported? And I was talking with another artist the other day, and they were saying how much a place like actually Calgary and Edmonton have a great deal more support for their artists than Victoria does.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't fact check, but maybe.
Wow.
But just proportionately, how many artists come to the West Coast as their sort of their graceland of art that they're searching
That's
for.
interesting. Yeah, there are poets that have come to Victoria just for poetry. Yeah, and like Tim Lilburn, who I mentioned earlier, was when he came here from Saskatchewan, and he came to teach at UVic, and he brought a lot of poets with him. People came because of Tim, and he said, Lorna and Patrick here, Lorna Crozier and Patrick Lane, who are like poetry icons. A lot of people came out to work with them. Yeah. And like people have moved here for poetry.
That's right. Well, what I'm getting at, when this is news for me, is just what a perfect place Victoria is for the poet, and it could definitely improve in a lot of ways, and funding is always a thing, but always a thing. But yeah, the program, the university at UVic, that's news to me. That's incredible that we have such an amazing,
it's an amazing program,
high quality program.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, now we've run out of time.
Okay.
So
that's amazing. It felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. It just flies by. I have one last question for you, and then I was hoping that after I say goodbye. Oh, also I wanted to mention the reason why we started our show, our podcast, our conversation with a poem rather than my typical intro is because that is the way that the Poet Laureate Podcast opens. Right?
It does.
And it is such a nourishing way to open a conversation. And I've listened to all the Poet Laureate podcasts now. And there's something about the energy and just the pace and rhythm that conversation takes that you really do feel nourished in some way by the time you reach the end of the conversation.
That is my hope. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you've really pulled it off. You've really pulled it off. So definitely take a listen. But yeah, so that's what we'll do here. And I'll ask you one last question. I'll say good night. And then if you could end with another poem, that would be wonderful. Okay, so the final question for you, Kyeren, is what is sacred to you? And I always add a little asterisk here that is if you could share, not necessarily what has been sacred to you over the years, or what's sacred to you this year, but what is sacred to you, right now at this point in your life?
The space for making art. Yeah. Conversations that enter into a place of truth, and that drop down into an intimacy. Nature, disappearing, vanishing nature. Yeah, the natural world.
It's great not to pull us into a conversation about AI at the very end of this interview, but I love that you just listed at least 3 things that AI could never replicate. Nature, finding a place of truth in conversation, and what other
that place
other
where
brilliant...
you really like sharing with another human.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Thank you, Jordan.
And diving in.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate
It's my
it.
honor and my pleasure. Thank you.
Always mine. And thank you to you. It's been awesome to connect. We'll connect again soon. And until then, be well and be wild, and whenever possible, be yourself, and write a poem. And Kyeren, if you'd like to take it away here, and feel free to give any context that you'd like.
Well, this is a public-facing poem. This is a poem I wrote for the city, because I was asked to write things that are important and are happening in Victoria. This is called Prayer for the City. On my way into City Hall, I walk past a man with one eye shut like a scab, the other a lit gas flame. He's arranged his blankets like an invitation to a funeral. Beside him, someone smokes the future, the kind that burns blue and leaves your teeth behind. Some mornings, the sky over Douglas Street is smooth as a bruise 3 days into healing. Some mornings, it's a shade that fades away, which is also the colour of policy. The fence circling the Conservatory of Music smells of battery acid and rain. A guy with a master's in English is narcanning a woman wearing one shoe and a halo of dirt. We call it empathy. He calls it a job in compassion fatigue. She doesn't call it anything because her mouth is full of sores. Sometimes I think the city's heart is a cul-de-sac, a dead end of good intentions and torn tents where no one leaves, but no one lives either. I've seen a girl trade a hand job for a sleeping bag with a working zipper. That's called agency, I guess, or neglect contained, or help if you squint. And we walk by fast and well-fed, our temperature-controlled virtue in check. We say harm reduction like it's a spell that makes dying polite. The problem with poems is they don't clean anything. They hold anything to the light and hope it does something besides shine. I offer this prayer written on a fogged bus window, not to be answered, only read by whatever God still haunts the transit shelters and downtown doorways after dark, those places poems never reach.
Thank you. Stand up and hit stop.